Let's see. There we go. Welcome to another edition of Biro Sports Talk. I'm your host, Biro. As always, man, gotta love these technical difficulties. You know, it's just when you're in tech, it's always technical difficulties here, there, everywhere. So let's start off by saying, for those in the Indiana, Ohio, Michigan area, be safe tonight. It's been snowing very hard since 3 o'clock. Took a little longer to get home today, but that's okay. It's all okay. Because it is Super Bowl week, or as my wife likes to call it, Puppy Bowl week. Don't forget we are on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Definitely at Biro Sports Talk on Twitter, Biro Sports Talk on YouTube and Facebook. The Twitch page is Biro Sports Gaming. Got a little buzz, I see. Trying to fix the mic, but that's all right. We're fine. So, let's get into it, shall we? So tonight, it's Thursday. Super Bowl's this weekend. Everyone's talking about it. Basketball's going on because, that's what I do. I'm all about the basketball game, but, I'm also really big on the news that happened over the week. NCAA football is coming back. EA Sports is calling it college football right now, which people didn't quite catch right away, but it's something to look at. It's to get the rights for all the teams for college football. So that'll be very, very interesting moving forward. So we're going to pull up here. You won't see it, but on my screen I'm going to pull up what ESPN says the game will play out. Who has who. So out of 107 votes, 80 think the Chiefs are going to win. The Buccaneers only get 25% of the votes at 27. A little over 25%. Interesting indeed. So, the most common predicted final score was 31-27. It was a very odd score. But those predicting the Chiefs' victory, they actually have the names here. Not going to go through the names because it's not worth it. But a very common theme is these 30-point games in the 30s. Predicting the Buccaneers. The biggest thing for the Buccaneers is their defense. So, I know everyone's talking Tom Brady, but their defense is a very key component. And even then, they're only supposed to win by like 3 in the most part by these predictions. Excuse me. Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, of course, the leads for the Super Bowl MVP. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, Tyrone Matthew, Devin White, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm a little surprised. Chris Jones and Jason Pierre-Paul. I think it's interesting. The Super Bowl is a great Super Bowl. You get to see Tom Brady still doing amazing work with a new team. Let's dive a little deeper because, all week you probably have seen a lot of these. And it won't let me show it because I have to log in. Oh no, gotta log into my ESPN. No. Don't worry, it'll take a second. Maybe. What are you doing, bro? But let's talk about it while my screen decides what in the world it's doing. So, if we had to compare positions, right now I look at quarterback. I would say Mahomes is the man right now. I would give a slight edge to Mahomes' youth, and just he can have a higher upside. If we go running back, I kind of lean towards the Buccaneers. They have a solid group of running backs with. Um, I know Leonard Fournette. He's not the starter. I'm trying to think of the starter's name right now. I want to say it's Ronald Jones for some reason. There we go. Here's some more. So with that, I'm pushing. That one's definitely a advantage. Buccaneers. You look at the weapons though. You got Kelsey. You got Hill. You got Hardman. You got a lot of weapons for Kansas City. But you also have a lot of weapons on the other side with Cameron Braid, Rob Gronkowski. You got Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. You got a lot of talent. Scotty Miller even. I would push it because you have great talent on both sides. Offensive lines are a push because they're both very, very good. Defensively, you gotta, as an overall, you gotta lean a little bit towards the Buccaneers. Just a little bit of. That doesn't mean Tom Brady's not going to throw interceptions. That doesn't mean that Patrick Mahomes will throw any interceptions. They're both very good quarterbacks. They take care of the ball at times. Brady didn't in the championship game, but he has 2 weeks to prepare. He always has 2 weeks to prepare for this. It'll be interesting to see what Tom does. The special teams, I mean, I don't look a lot into that, only because the Bears always had a good special teams, and that didn't do anything for us. So who is Biro Sports Talk picking? Very, very key. You run a sports show, you got to pick somebody to win. What's funny is this question actually was asked earlier in the week to me by one of my coworkers in my day job. He's like, who do you got for the Super Bowl? I was like, well, I'm going to have to go with the Chiefs. There's just so much going on there. As much as I would love, well, I take that back. I'm not one who would love to see Tom Brady get a 7th ring. But as much as that would be a great story, Patrick Mahomes overcoming Tom Brady again would be a better story. Last year at the AFC Championship, I believe, what was not. I know 2 years ago he came up short and Tom made it. But let's get back to it. I went with the Chiefs. I do think it's more going to be like a 31-27. It's going to be really close. I think the Buccaneers will allow Kansas City at the nickel and dime, but they won't allow the big play. And that's why it's such a low-scoring game for me. What can I say? It's got to be a close game. I mean, I'll be very honest with this statement. If it's not a close game, I'd be very, very disappointed. I mean, you got Tom Brady. You got Tom Brady. You got Patrick Mahomes. You got a lot of guys who are just going to be amazing. And it should be a hard-fought game. If it's not, I'd be highly disappointed. So let's talk the Super Bowl. So, in these unprecedented times, as we've heard many, many times throughout all of this, let's start with the obvious. The Weeknd's going to have an amazing halftime show. He put $7 million of his own money to bring you what he wanted. It's going to be a cinematic marvel. He does very well with his cinematics. Some people might not like it, and that's fine. But let's start with the obvious. It's going to be amazing. I think it's going to be amazing. I like The Weeknd's music. For the past decade, he was my artist of the decade according to Spotify. So yeah. But the fact that the Super Bowl, it might be missing just the crowd. I know that's going to be weird. I know there's going to be 25 or 26, 25,000, I think. Out of a possible like 110, 120,000. It's going to be a weird Super Bowl. Not a lot of people. But for football, they can feel like they did it. They finished. They did it. And quite frankly, that's fine. I mean, there was a struggle at points. Even now, the Kansas City Chiefs are being... Their hairstylist got pulled because he was tested positive. This is all very interesting. And don't be surprised if they push back the Super Bowl. I don't think they will. Not at this point. But if they do, it wouldn't be a surprise. If you haven't, though, let's take a moment to pause. Look down here. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitch. If I get enough Twitch views and become an affiliate, you'll see more content. Yes, that's right. More content playing sports games on here. I know Ken Griffey Jr. was on here for a while. I know GoldenEye hit here for a while. Got some of these retro games that are ready to go. Some good basketball going on tonight. You got Ohio State versus Iowa. They're both roughly 13-4. Buckeyes 14-4. Iowa's 13-4. But you get to see Luka Garza. You get to see E.J. Liddell. Pretty sure he's the one who scores the most points. But you got Justin Aarons. You got an interesting Ohio State team with a hard-fighting Iowa team. Ohio State, looking at their roster, has 4 forwards. That is what they are listed. They are forwards. Interesting enough. When I look at Ohio State, though, I know Towns has been coming on of late. He would be someone to watch. C.J. Walker, and, of course... Who's Key? I actually haven't heard much. Zed Key. I haven't heard much about him, but he's a freshman. He's been averaging 6.5 points a game. So he's been a key role player for the Buckeyes. Now, obviously, that's the best one going on right now. I mean, the Big Ten has a lot of strong teams. Other games for tonight of worth anyways of talking about. I'm looking. Surprisingly, I don't see much in the ranked. I mean, Gonzaga plays at 9, but they play Pacific. I mean, I looked at Minnesota and Rutgers, and they're both 10-6. That's still pretty solid for teams in this season, anyways. It's just been weird, let's be honest. COVID is still a major factor in all sports. So many things. There's just so many games being postponed. So many there's just so many things being affected by COVID right now. One thing that's not effective in my job, but that's okay. I understand. And I'm also very happy because that means I'm working and I get paid. So, anyways, let's talk about something more sports related. Let's go. Federal bill got pushed for unrestricted name, image, and likeness endorsements for NCAA athletes. So, a federal bill Thursday was introduced and would make it illegal for the NCAA or other college sports associations to place restrictions of any kind on endorsement deals for athletes. Brought up by the Democrat of Connecticut, Chris Murphy, a senator and a representative Democrat from, Massachusetts, Lori Trahan. It's the latest proposal that aims to have college students make money from their name, image, and likeness. Now, what made this, of course, famous is the classic NCAA sports games. I say sports games because Ed O'Bannon, the big name associated with it, was college basketball. Shut that down real quick. College football made it till NCAA 14, and then we haven't seen a version since. So the most recent rumor after the confirmed they're bringing it back is that the release date is still not until 2023. It is 2021, so 2 years. But that means NCAA 14 is going to be abused and abused and abused. Because let's be honest, that's what I've been playing actually of late. I just can't get behind my newer consoles because I want to play NCAA 14 still. Now, some states have made this legal, the names, image, and likeness. I know Mark Emmert and other college sports leaders have asked Congress to make this a national uniform rule for the name, image, and likeness. Wow. So let's. This is interesting because they say those leaders, Mark Emmert, other college sports leaders, want the ability to create guardrails, aka this is the set amount you're allowed to make or something. And they want to separate it from professional sports and amateurism. Trahan apparently played volleyball at Georgetown. I don't know if no, Chris yeah. Point is, those who introduced this particular bill believe the NCAA crossed the line into professionalism long ago. Trahan was a former Division One athlete, and this is her quote in this article. As a former Division One athlete, I'm all too familiar with the NCAA's business model that for decades has utilized the guise of amateurism to justify obscene profitability while student athletes have struggled to get by. And there's a very nice documentary on Netflix. I wish I knew the name off the top of my head. But it goes deep into this as well. However, this bill does not expect to be passed in the first 6 months this year. I know Florida's already passed the law. Other states are trying to move theirs along. And the NCAA's basically whined and cried about with these different state laws with unique differences would create a chaotic environment, creating unfair advantages for certain schools. The problem with all this is that the NCAA doesn't want to make the change. The NCAA wants to keep all this money. The NCAA wants the power without doing the work, essentially. You're looking at... I don't understand exactly what they do. That's makes it so worthwhile. Because if you think about it, the NCAA just kind of sits there and is like, "Oh, did you break a rule? Let's take 3 years, 5 years to look into it, and we'll retroactively punish you." Basically, it's just, and some schools try to beat it to the punch, try to do this or do that. There's just so many things that just don't make sense. The NCAA just are trying to get a hold on this, and it's just not worth it. Ohio State, Notre Dame, Alabama, Clemson, USC even, Texas, these big schools, they could easily just leave the NCAA and start a league. The NCAA probably does more for the lower levels. Obviously, the money's spent on the top level. But the NCAA lower levels probably get more from the NCAA than the top level. It's very weird. It's a weird situation. Yes, the NCAA is important to some extent. But the NCAA makes money off these athletes. Millions, and billions of dollars as a nonprofit. They break up the money to other nonprofits, the university, who, again, is making money off these athletes. But yet, if you put cream cheese on a bagel, it's a violation. There's stupid rules. If someone's hungry, you should be able to feed them. This is just all just so weird, so interesting to think about. This will be a continuing, of course, story, so we'll talk about it later as well. As we come to a close, because we're a little early, but we're hitting that mark. I greatly appreciate all those who like, share the video, tune in even. If you tune in now, tune in after. I greatly appreciate it. The biggest thing for me is I do this because this is fun for me. This is very fun. Would I love to make money doing this? Yes. Who wouldn't? But I do this because I enjoy this. And I just hope those who watch enjoy it as well. So, final verdict, Chiefs over the Buccaneers, 31-27. It's the most common score, but I think it's going to come down to the wire. I'm not going to lie, I would not be surprised if the Bucs win because I picked the Chiefs. Because my last week for the championship games, I was 0 for 2. I picked the Bills and the Packers, and the other two teams are in. But don't forget, I'm also 67% correct. And I can pick at an exceptional rate. But thank you for those who tuned in. Thank you for coming. If you haven't already, let's throw it up one more time because we're on Twitter. We don't tweet a lot, but I don't have a lot of followers. If you're on YouTube, definitely like the page, man. You get updates every time we post a video. Facebook, I know that's where the biggest support is at right now. Thank you again, everybody. And Twitch. If we get enough Twitch, of course, content will come in more. So thank you. I greatly appreciate it. And I hope to see you all next Thursday, 7 p.m.